Now, Jordan's minister has on Friday called for pressure on Israel to end ethnic cleansing in strong remarks as he met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in London. Deploring the humanitarian situation in northern Gaza, Ayman Safadi told Blinken that ethnic cleansing agenda must stop. He adds that they are on the verge of a regional conflict and Israel must halt its aggressions on Gaza and Lebanon, as well as any unilateral or unlawful actions in the West Bank that are further destabilizing the situation.
We meet at a very, very critical moment. As you mentioned, the humanitarian situation is really difficult. We look at northern Gaza now where we do see ethnic cleansing taking place, and that has got to stop. Lebanon has to stop immediately. Nothing justifies its continuation. Lebanon is ready to implement 1701. That will guarantee the security of all. My short answer is yes, it's got to stop now.
There too, we have a sense of real urgency in getting to a diplomatic resolution and the full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, such that there can be real security along the border between Israel and Lebanon, and people, both sides of the border, can have the confidence to be able to return to their homes.
Now, joining us on the news to discuss this is a foreign policy analyst, Bolu Michael B. Bolu, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's understand, what implications do you see this airstrike having on the relationship between Israel and Lebanon, especially concerning the ongoing tensions with Hezbollah and, of course, Hamas?
Well, it's expected that there might be heightened tension between Israel and Lebanon, particularly, increased hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is quite popular in the southern part of Lebanon, and it's quite unfortunate that the persons that were targeted are journalists. Even though they're allegedly linked to Hezbollah, it's still the fact that they are journalists, and we might see some level of retaliation from Hezbollah because they might consider it as a direct confrontation. And if this ping pong back and forth retaliation continues to happen, it might really lead to a regional crisis. The Lebanese information minister has described it as a war crime. And strong rhetorics like that are capable of drawing attention from international organizations as well as countries who may be calling for increased confrontation of Lebanon against Israel. And it just becomes a very messy situation if we're finding countries and international organizations poking fingers at one country. It may actually provoke Israel, and they may have a conversation with their allies.
Well, I agreed. It seems as though international bodies and the world powers are not able to actually curb or actually, call to order Israel in this matter. But then, how do you think they view Israel's military policy and its attitude when we talk about the onslaughts in conflict zones?
Okay, the fact that the journalists are being targeted, especially areas that are considered to be relatively calm, might show that Israel is disregarding international law that covers journalists, especially those in the war zones. And organizations like the Reporters Without Borders have raised concern against Israel's operation, and such can actually lead to a call for greater accountability on the part of Israel. So it's quite unfortunate that journalists are being targeted because it can lead to a level of apprehension among journalists and reduced coverage of conflict zones, which is not good for the world generally.
Okay, so the ideology, of course, of the IDF in this crusade is to bring to a total halt terrorism in the Middle East. But the Jordanian Prime Minister or Foreign Minister has come out to say that this is ethnic cleansing. How do you see it?
Well, I think it's kind of it's really strong rhetoric, and it's important that both sides kind of calm things down in terms of the things they say. One is saying it's a war crime, the other is saying something else, and these are really, really strong terms, and Israel might be shooting themselves in the foot, definitely, because their allies, including the United States, they are these are countries, the Western democracies are really big when it comes to press freedom, and I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out if allies of Israel, call them out on their military operations, because they place really high value on press freedom, and if US, for instance, is calling Israel out, then it means that Israel they've successfully shot themselves in the foot.
But it seems as though Israel is not resting on its oars when it comes to fighting terrorism there to a standstill. But then do you think that, Palestine and its allies have gotten the message never to mess with Israel or to provoke Israel because of the aftermath that we're seeing playing out?
Well, I don't think so, because we're still seeing retaliations on both ends, and don't forget that they also have their own allies, in terms of countries like Iran, for example, are strongly backing them. So even if it's not only one party that is aggrieved against has grievances against Israel, there are other countries as well. So even if one party is not really taking action against Israel, there are other parties or allies in the opposition are willing to supply the weapons and fight Israel because they have their own grievances as well. So then they have a common mission of bringing Israel down as much as possible. So both sides, in war, they always choose sides. You always have allies. And the fact that we're still seeing retaliations, I don't think either sides have gotten any message about, not messing with Israel or Israel not messing with Lebanon or Iran.
Okay, Bolu Michael B., thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.